The soft light of dawn was filtering through the hospice windows as I lay dying from Alzheimer's complications, my 68-year-old mind slowly fading, but my heart still full of love for the man sitting beside my bed. My son Noah was holding my weathered hand, and with what little clarity I had left, I needed to tell him the story he'd never fully heard. "Noah, I need you to tell the world something before I forget everything forever. The doctors said I could never raise a child because of my Down syndrome, but I proved them wrong. You turned out perfect because love was the only thing I ever understood completely." The tears streaming down Noah's face told me he was remembering all the times throughout his childhood when people had questioned whether I was capable of being his father, and how he had always defended me with fierce pride. Before I continue my story, I really want to know where you're watching me from. Tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. And if you can, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. My name is Benjamin Matthew Cooper, and I'm dying at Peaceful Valley Hospice Center, finally confessing something I should have told Noah years ago. Noah is 40 years old now, a successful teacher and father of 2, and he's always known I have Down syndrome. You can see it in my facial features, hear it in my speech patterns. What he doesn't know is the full story of how the doctors said I could never raise a child, and how we proved them all wrong together. But the truth is, I've had Down syndrome my entire life, and when Noah was born to a teenage mother who abandoned him at the hospital, the doctors told me I was unfit to raise a child. They said someone with my cognitive limitations couldn't possibly provide proper care for a baby. Noah has always known about my condition. It's impossible to hide the physical characteristics and speech patterns that come with Down syndrome. But what he doesn't know is how hard we had to fight for our right to be a family. It started in 1984, when I was 28 years old and working as a dishwasher at Miller's Diner in small-town Ohio. I lived in a supervised group home with 3 other adults with developmental disabilities, and my life was simple but happy. I had my job, my routine, and the kindness of my caretakers who treated me like family. Then one night, my caseworker, Mrs. Patterson, received an emergency call from the county hospital. A 16-year-old girl named Lisa had given birth and immediately signed papers to surrender her parental rights. The baby was healthy, but with overcrowded foster systems and limited resources, they were struggling to place him quickly. "Ben," Mrs. Patterson said during one of our weekly meetings, "I know this might sound unusual, but there's a baby boy who needs a home, and I've been thinking about your situation." I was confused at first. A baby? But I'm not smart enough for babies. "Ben, you're one of the most loving, responsible people I know," she continued. "You've never missed a day of work in 5 years. You take care of your housemates when they're sick. You understand love and patience better than most people with college degrees." The idea seemed impossible. People with Down syndrome weren't supposed to be parents. Everyone knew that. We were supposed to be taken care of, not take care of others. But Mrs. Patterson had been watching me for years and saw something that others missed. While I struggled with reading and math, I had an intuitive understanding of human emotions and an unlimited capacity for unconditional love. The first time I held Noah at the hospital, everything changed. He was so tiny, so perfect, and when he looked up at me with those bright blue eyes, I felt a connection I'd never experienced before. This little person needed me, and somehow I knew that I could give him what he needed most. Love without conditions, without expectations, without judgment. "Are you sure about this, Ben?" the social worker asked. "Raising a child is incredibly difficult, even for people without your challenges." "I don't know about difficult," I said, still staring at Noah's tiny face. "But I know about love, and he needs love." The legal process took months. I had to undergo evaluations, parenting classes, and constant supervision to prove I could provide adequate care. Many people in the system fought against the placement, arguing that a person with Down syndrome couldn't possibly raise a child successfully. But Mrs. Patterson advocated for me, and slowly, other professionals began to see what she saw. During the supervised visits, they watched me hold Noah for hours without getting frustrated when he cried. They saw me learn to change diapers, prepare bottles, and soothe him with patience that seemed endless because it came from pure love rather than obligation. Ben has something most parents lack, the child psychologist noted in her evaluation. He has no ego involved in parenting. He's not trying to prove anything or live through his child's achievements. He just loves unconditionally, and that might be the most important gift any parent can offer. When I was finally approved to bring Noah home to the group home, everyone there became his extended family. My housemates, Maria, who had cerebral palsy, David, who was autistic, and Jenny, who had an intellectual disability, all helped care for Noah in their own ways. Maria would sing to him in Spanish when he was fussy. David, who rarely spoke to adults, would spend hours making funny faces to make Noah laugh. Jenny would help me fold his tiny clothes and organize his room. We created this beautiful, unconventional family where everyone contributed their unique gifts to raising this little boy. The group home director, Mrs. Henderson, was initially skeptical about the arrangement. "Ben, I support what you're trying to do, but we've never had an infant living here. Are you sure you can handle the responsibility along with your work schedule?" But within weeks, she could see that Noah was thriving in our unique environment. He was surrounded by adults who understood what it felt like to be different, who celebrated small victories and showed endless patience with challenges. This baby is getting more love and attention than most children in traditional families, Mrs. Henderson noted in her monthly report to social services. The entire household has rallied around Noah, and Ben has exceeded every expectation we had for his parenting abilities. The early years were challenging in ways I hadn't anticipated, but not for the reasons people expected. I could handle the sleepless nights, the constant feeding schedule, the endless diaper changes. Those were just tasks, and I was good at following routines. What proved more difficult was learning to trust my instincts when Noah was sick or upset. When he developed a fever at 8 months old, I panicked because I couldn't tell if it was serious or normal. I called Mrs. Patterson at 2 a.m., crying because I was afraid I was failing as a father. "Ben, breathe," she said calmly. "Tell me what's happening." "Noah is hot and crying, and I don't know if I should take him to the hospital or if I'm being stupid." I sobbed. "You're not being stupid. You're being a concerned parent. Take his temperature and call his pediatrician's emergency line. Trust yourself. You know Noah better than anyone." That night taught me that being a good parent wasn't about having all the answers. It was about caring enough to find them. I started keeping a detailed journal of Noah's eating, sleeping, and health patterns so I could better communicate with doctors and recognize when something was wrong. The harder part was dealing with the outside world's reaction to us. When I would take Noah to the grocery store in his stroller, people would stare and whisper, "Is that man really taking care of that baby? Should someone call social services?" I could see the judgment in their eyes, the assumption that I was somehow endangering this child by loving him. Some encounters were more direct and hurtful. One afternoon at the park, a woman approached me while I was pushing Noah on the baby swing. "Excuse me, where is this child's mother?" she demanded. "I'm his father," I replied, confused by her hostile tone. "His father? Are you sure you should be handling a baby unsupervised?" Her words stung, but Noah's delighted laughter as he swung back and forth reminded me that his happiness was the only opinion that mattered. At Noah's pediatrician appointments, medical staff would often direct their questions to Mrs. Patterson or other group home staff, instead of speaking to me directly. They assumed I couldn't understand medical information or make important decisions about my son's care. "Mr. Cooper," Dr. Williams said during one visit when Noah was 6 months old, "I need to discuss his vaccination schedule with someone who can understand the implications." "I understand," I said quietly. "I want him to be healthy. Give him what he needs. But do you understand the potential side effects, the scheduling requirements, the importance of keeping records?" I pulled out the detailed notebook I had been keeping track of every aspect of Noah's care. I write everything down. I follow schedules. I watch for problems. I understand that shots help keep him from getting sick. Dr. Williams looked surprised as he flipped through pages of my careful documentation: feeding times, sleep patterns, diaper changes, developmental milestones, questions to ask at appointments. "This is very thorough, Mr. Cooper. I apologize for underestimating your capabilities." That was the beginning of a better relationship with Noah's medical team, but it took years for some professionals to stop talking around me instead of to me. The most challenging period came when Noah was 2 years old, and the county decided to conduct a surprise inspection of our living situation. A new social worker, Ms. Rodriguez, had taken over Noah's case and wanted to reassess the placement's appropriateness. She arrived unannounced on a Tuesday morning while I was getting ready for work, and Noah was having breakfast in his high chair. "Mr. Cooper, I'm here to evaluate Noah's care and living conditions," she said, pulling out a clipboard and looking around critically. Noah, who was usually friendly with visitors, sensed the tension and started crying. I immediately moved to comfort him, but Miss Rodriguez held up her hand. "Please don't touch him right now. I need to observe his natural behavior." For the next 2 hours, she followed us around the group home, taking notes on everything from the cleanliness of Noah's room to the way I prepared his lunch. She questioned Maria, David, and Jenny about their interactions with Noah, making them nervous and defensive. Does Mr. Cooper ever seem frustrated with the baby? Has he ever asked you to watch Noah when he should be caring for him himself? My housemates, bless them, defended me fiercely. Maria told her, Ben is the best papa. He never gets mad, even when Noah cries all night. He just holds him and sings little songs. David, who rarely spoke to strangers, surprised everyone by saying, Ben loves Noah more than anything. We all help because we want to, not because we have to. But Ms. Rodriguez seemed determined to find problems. She criticized the fact that Noah's bedtime routine involved the whole household. Maria would sing him Spanish lullabies while Jenny helped me organize his clothes for the next day, and David would make silly faces until Noah laughed himself to sleep. This child needs more structure and fewer distractions, she wrote in her notes. The current arrangement may be overstimulating and could interfere with proper attachment to his primary caregiver. I was terrified that she was going to take Noah away from me. That night after she left, I called Mrs. Patterson in tears. She thinks I'm not good enough, I sobbed. She thinks Noah would be better off somewhere else. Ben, listen to me carefully, Mrs. Patterson said firmly. I've been doing this job for 20 years, and I've never seen a child more loved or better cared for than Noah. Ms. Rodriguez is new, and she's going by outdated textbooks instead of real-world results. The evaluation process took 3 months, during which a Ms. Rodriguez visited monthly and subjected Noah and me to various tests and observations. She had child psychologists evaluate Noah's attachment patterns, nutritionists review his diet, and even brought in a pediatric specialist to assess his development. Every single professional who evaluated Noah came to the same conclusion. He was thriving. He was meeting or exceeding all developmental milestones. He was securely attached to me, and he showed no signs of neglect or inadequate care. The final report, when it came, was a vindication of everything Mrs. Patterson had believed about my abilities as a father. Noah Cooper is a healthy, happy, well-adjusted toddler who demonstrates secure attachment to his primary caregiver, Benjamin Cooper. Despite Mr. Cooper's cognitive limitations, he has created a loving, stable environment that promotes his child's optimal development. The unconventional living arrangement actually provides Noah with additional support and socialization opportunities that benefit his emotional and social growth. This placement should continue without reservation. Ms. Rodriguez never apologized for putting us through months of stress and scrutiny, but she did admit that the case had changed her perspective on what makes a successful parent. When I would take Noah to the grocery store in his stroller, people would stare and whisper, "Is that man really taking care of that baby? Should someone call social services?" I could see the judgment in their eyes, the assumption that I was somehow endangering this child by loving him. At Noah's pediatrician appointments, medical staff would often direct their questions to Mrs. Patterson or other group home staff, instead of speaking to me directly. They assumed I couldn't understand medical information or make important decisions about my son's care. "Mr. Cooper," Dr. Williams said during one visit when Noah was 6 months old, "I need to discuss his vaccination schedule with someone who can understand the implications." "I understand," I said quietly. "I want him to be healthy. Give him what he needs." But my simple approach to complex decisions often frustrated professionals who expected detailed questions and lengthy discussions about medical choices. If this story is shocking you, hit that subscribe button, because what happened as Noah grew up proved that love really is the most important ingredient in raising a child. By the time Noah was 3 years old, it was clear that our unconventional family arrangement was working beautifully. Noah was hitting all his developmental milestones. He was social and confident, and most importantly, he was happy. He called me Papa Ben and treated our group home housemates like beloved aunts and uncles. The other children at his daycare center adored me when I came to pick him up, because I would always take time to talk to each of them, remember their names, and ask about their day with genuine interest. My lack of social pretenses made me surprisingly good with children. I spoke to them honestly, laughed at their jokes, and never talked down to them. Noah's father is so sweet. I overheard one of the daycare teachers tell another. He might be a little slow, but that little boy is so loved. You can see it in everything about him. Noah never seemed embarrassed by my differences. When other children asked why his dad talked differently or moved differently, Noah would simply explain, "My Papa Ben has a special brain, but he gives the best hugs and makes the funniest songs." As Noah got older and started asking more complex questions about family, work, and life, I began to worry about my limitations. I couldn't help him with homework beyond basic addition and subtraction. I couldn't explain complicated concepts or help him navigate social situations that I didn't understand myself. But what I discovered was that my limitations often became opportunities for Noah to develop independence and problem-solving skills that other children his age lacked. When Noah was in 3rd grade and struggling with a book report, I couldn't read well enough to help him understand the story. Instead, I sat with him while he read it aloud to me, asking simple questions like, "How did that make you feel? And what do you think will happen next?" Without realizing it, I was teaching him critical thinking skills through emotional intelligence rather than academic analysis. "Papa Ben," Noah said one evening while working on homework, "other kids' dads help them find the answers, but you help me find my own answers. I think that's better." His teacher, Mrs. Foster, confirmed this during a parent conference. Noah has developed remarkable independence and confidence in his own abilities. He's not afraid to ask questions or admit when he doesn't understand something, which is unusual for children his age. When Noah faced bullying in 4th grade from classmates who made fun of me after seeing me at a school event, I didn't have sophisticated strategies for handling the situation, but I had something more valuable: the experience of being different and learning to find self-worth despite others' judgment. "Some kids say mean things about you, Papa Ben," Noah told me tearfully after a particularly bad day at school. "What kinds of things?" I asked, dreading the answer but knowing we needed to address it. "They say you talk funny, and that you're stupid, and that I must be stupid too." My heart broke for him, remembering all the times I had heard similar words throughout my own life. But I also saw an opportunity to give Noah tools I had never been taught. "Noah, people sometimes say mean things when they don't understand differences. That doesn't make what they say true. Do you think I'm stupid? No. You're the smartest person I know about love and kindness and taking care of people. That's right. There are different kinds of smart. Some people are smart with books and numbers. I'm smart with hearts and feelings. You're smart with both. Don't let anyone tell you what kind of smart you're supposed to be. Noah took that lesson to heart, and instead of becoming defensive about our family, he became our advocate. When classmates made comments about me, Noah would respond confidently, "My dad has Down syndrome, but he's the best father in the world. He taught me that being different doesn't mean being less." His confidence in our relationship began to change other children's perceptions, too. Instead of seeing me as something to be mocked, they began to see me as Noah's loving father, who happened to be different. But what I could do was listen. When Noah came home upset about playground conflicts or friendship drama, I might not have sophisticated advice to offer, but I could sit with him, let him talk, and remind him that he was loved no matter what problems he was facing. The summer Noah turned 12. He asked me a question that I had been dreading for years. "Papa Ben, why are you different from other dads? I mean, I know you have Down syndrome, but what does that really mean? Will I have it too?" I had practiced this conversation in my head many times, but actually having it was still overwhelming. I wanted to give him accurate information without making him afraid or ashamed of our family. "Down syndrome means I was born with an extra chromosome," I began, using words I had memorized from pamphlets Mrs. Patterson had given me years earlier. "It makes my brain work differently and sometimes makes learning harder for me. But you won't have it because it's not something you catch or inherit from me. You have your own perfect brain that's different from mine. Is that why some people treat you like you're not smart?" "Yes. Some people think that because I learn differently, I must not understand things. But you know that's not true, right?" "You understand everything important," Noah said firmly. "You understand love and friendship and how to make people feel better when they're sad." "Exactly. There are many different kinds of intelligence, Noah. Some people are good with math, some with music, some with sports. I'm good with people and feelings." That conversation led to many others over the years about difference, acceptance, and the various ways people can contribute to the world. Noah developed a nuanced understanding of disability and neurodiversity that would later influence his career choice and his approach to education. "Papa Ben," Noah said one day when he was 8 years old, "some kids at school say you're weird. They say fathers are supposed to be smarter." My heart broke a little, knowing this conversation would come eventually. "Do you think I'm weird, Noah?" He considered this seriously for a moment. "You're different from other dads, but you're my dad, and you love me more than anyone. That's what matters." That conversation taught me that honesty was more important than trying to hide my limitations. I started telling Noah age-appropriate truths about my condition, explaining that my brain worked differently, but that different didn't mean bad. By the time Noah was in high school, he had become my advocate and translator in situations where I struggled. He would help me understand parent-teacher conferences, medical forms, and other complex communications. But our relationship never felt reversed or unhealthy. He helped me the same way I had always helped him, with love and patience. My dad taught me that intelligence comes in many forms. Noah wrote in a college application essay. He might not be able to help me with calculus homework, but he taught me empathy, patience, and unconditional love. He showed me that the most important job of a parent isn't to be perfect. It's to be present. Noah excelled in school despite having a father who couldn't help with academics. He learned independence, problem-solving, and resourcefulness because he had to figure out many things on his own. But he also learned compassion, authenticity, and the value of accepting people exactly as they are. When Noah graduated valedictorian of his high school class, I sat in the auditorium crying with pride as he delivered his speech about the lessons his special father had taught him about what really matters in life. My father, Ben Cooper, has Down syndrome, Noah announced to the shocked audience. For 18 years, he has been the most dedicated, loving parent anyone could ask for. He taught me that success isn't measured by test scores or achievements. It's measured by how much love you give and receive. The standing ovation that followed was for both of us, and I realized that our journey together had not only proved the doctors wrong about my capabilities, it had also shown everyone who witnessed it that families come in all forms, and love is the only qualification that really matters. Noah went on to become a special education teacher, inspired by his childhood experience of seeing the world through different eyes. He married a wonderful woman named Sarah, who loved and accepted our entire unconventional family. When Noah's children were born, my grandchildren, Emma and Jack, I got to experience the joy of watching him become the father I had tried to be. He combined the patience and unconditional love he learned from me with the educational support and intellectual guidance I hadn't been able to provide. Papa Ben, little Emma said to me when she was 4 years old, "Daddy says you have a special brain like some of the kids in his class." "That's right, sweetheart. Does that bother you?" "No," she said matter-of-factly. "Special brains just mean extra hugs and extra love. Daddy told me." But as the years passed, my mind began to fail in ways that had nothing to do with Down syndrome. The Alzheimer's that would eventually kill me started slowly, with small memory lapses and confusion that initially seemed like normal aging. The cruelest irony was that after 40 years of proving I could overcome cognitive limitations through love and determination, I was losing even those abilities to a disease that would eventually take everything from me. Noah moved me into his home when I could no longer live safely at the group home, and he began caring for me the same way I had cared for him, with infinite patience, unconditional love, and a determination to preserve my dignity, even as my mind disappeared. "Papa Ben," Noah would say during my confused moments, "you're safe. You're loved. You don't need to understand everything, just like you taught me when I was little." The hardest part was watching Noah struggle with the role reversal. The man who had spent 40 years being my son, my pride and joy, my greatest achievement, was now having to be my caretaker and protector. "I don't know how to do this, Papa Ben," he confessed one night when he thought I was sleeping. "You made parenting look so easy because you led with your heart. but watching you forget everything, I don't know how to help you through this." "You already are," I whispered back, though I wasn't sure if my words made sense anymore. Love is enough. It was always enough. During my final weeks in the hospice, Noah rarely left my side. He would read to me, play music I had loved, and tell me stories about his children, my grandchildren, even when I couldn't remember their names. "Papa Ben," he said during one of my clearer moments, "I need you to know that you are the best father anyone could have asked for. You halved everyone wrong about what makes a good parent." "Did I do okay?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "You did more than okay," Noah said, tears streaming down his face. "You showed me that love is the only qualification that matters for anything in life. You taught me to see people's hearts instead of their limitations. You raised me to be kind, compassionate, and accepting." "The doctors said you couldn't raise a child," I continued, struggling to remember the conversation from 40 years ago. "But you proved them wrong. You became an amazing teacher, a wonderful husband, a perfect father. You turned out so much better than I ever hoped." "I turned out exactly like you, Papa Ben. I learned to love without conditions, to see the good in everyone, and to never give up on people. That's your legacy." Benjamin Matthew Cooper died peacefully at 3:15 a.m. on a Sunday morning, surrounded by the family he had created through pure love and determination. His last words were, "Tell Noah, tell him love was enough." Before his death, during one of his final lucid moments, Ben had managed to dictate a letter to Noah, which was read at his funeral. "To my son Noah, and my grandchildren Emma and Jack. People told me I couldn't raise a child because I have Down syndrome. They said I wasn't smart enough, capable enough, normal enough. But they didn't understand that raising a child isn't about being perfect. It's about loving perfectly. Noah, you became everything I dreamed you could be, not because I was a perfect father, but because I loved you with everything I had. You taught me that I was more capable than anyone believed, and I hope I taught you that different doesn't mean less than." To Emma and Jack, "Your Papa Ben might have had a special brain, but that brain was filled with love for your family. Remember that everyone has something valuable to contribute, and the most important thing anyone can offer is an open heart. Love is the only qualification that matters for anything important in life. Love fearlessly, accept people completely, and never let anyone tell you that you're not enough exactly as you are." Years after Ben's death, Noah established the Ben Cooper Foundation, providing support and advocacy for parents with developmental disabilities who want to raise children. The foundation has helped dozens of families prove that love, not intellectual capacity, is the most important ingredient in successful parenting. My father taught me that the heart matters more than the head when it comes to raising children. Noah tells the families he works with, "He gave me everything I needed to succeed in life, not through academic support or sophisticated guidance, but through unconditional love and unwavering belief in my potential." The greatest gift any parent can give their child is the knowledge that they are loved exactly as they are. My father did that perfectly, and he changed both our lives by proving that different doesn't mean deficient. Share this story if it moved you, because love really is the only qualification that matters for the most important job in the world. Raising a child with kindness, acceptance, and endless hope for their future. Love and acceptance win, always.